Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffery Patterson and the Theater of the Mind.
My daughter and I had a game. When she was about 6, she asked for some sliced apple. I sliced the apple and gave it to her, and she turned to walk away, and I said, "Thank you, Daddy dear." She turned with her little grin and said, "Thanks, Dad." I said, "Daddy dear." She walked out and said, "Thank you, Daddy." A few years later, I was leaving on a business trip. She walked me to the front. We stood on the porch. I gave her a big hug and said, "I love you. Goodbye." She gave me a kiss and said, "Bye, Dad." I said, "Goodbye, Daddy dear." I set her down, and she's heading back into the house. She turns around with a little giggle and said, "Bye, Daddy." When she graduated high school, she won an award for her writing. I said, "I am so proud of you." She said, "Thanks, Dad." "No, thank you, Daddy dear." Someone took our picture together in her graduation gown, and she kissed me on the cheek, said, "Thanks, Dad." When she got married, I gave her a necklace that belonged to her mother. She said, "Thanks, Dad." I said, "Thank you, Daddy dear." She giggled, kissed me on the cheek. Someone took our picture together. She said, "Thanks, Dad." She took my arm and we walked down the aisle together. She moved away to foreign lands to pursue her writing. I kept up with everything she was doing. I read about her once in Time magazine, and I kept all of her books and her essays and reports all on my bookshelf in order, along with all her letters. One night, when I was old, I sat in my chair. It was snowing outside. The fireplace was crackling. I thought of my daughter. I pictured her in my mind, and I took a deep sigh, closed my eyes, and I died. They put the casket in my office so that friends could come by and say their last goodbyes. She wasn't there, but I heard someone say that she had been notified in some foreign land. Wow. I really wish I could have seen her one more time. The next morning, 2 men came in, and they were closing my casket when I heard someone say, "No, not yet." She was still wearing her winter coat. She stood by the door for a long time. She walked over and touched the back of my chair. Went to my bookcase and looked at all my books. Picked up the picture of her and I together. She finally makes her way over to my casket and just stands and looks at me. Then she said, "Goodbye, Daddy, dear." I smiled, a smile she would never see, but she knew would always be there.